In my purpose, on purpose. I got the faith, I know I'm working. Protect my inner peace, I'm digging deep and really on the scratching surface. It ain't perfected, but it's perfect.
I'm just trying to be who I'm meant to be. Didn't know I had to conquer all of these enemies, but I know that I will take off and fly, cause I serve a God who can do all of exceedingly. I don't know how, I must admit it, how he'll bring me out, but I'll know God did it.
So today with us on Stool Talk, we're honored. We have a special guest with us today, All-American, one who walks in her purpose on purpose. Here on Stool Talk, we walk in our purpose on purpose. Great athlete, great character, great leadership, great determination, just great overall. And today we have her to come on and share her journey. And today we have with us Miss Tessa Roberts. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
So how has it been? Where did this track journey start with you from Chicago who loves to run?
Man, I think so it really started when I was younger. I would just race people all the time and I was like, "Oh, like I want to, run track." But my parents were like, "No," because I would just start a lot of things. I was interested in a lot of things, and so I would start and then I would quit. And so like they were like, "We don't think that you like would, keep going with it." But I kept asking because it was something I was really passionate about. I like to run. And
Yeah.
so, um, over time, like I think I really started maybe like when I got to high school, like that was when I really, really started. And I would just do it like for fun. Like I would just like go to like I think I went to a track meet when I was in seventh grade, sixth grade, run a mile, like not even just just to do it, but like, I really didn't start actually like training for it really until, I freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
So
Can you speak on Imani Crothers and how she played an important role to you and what did that look like?
oh man, Imani was first of all, love her. Shout out to Imani. She was kind of like a mentor. Like we actually used to I used to call her my big me. She was my mini me, or I was her mini me, and so it's funny. But like she definitely kind of shifted my perspective, just on track because she was very focused. Still is. And at the time, like when I met her, and I was kind of seeing what she was doing, she didn't do the same events that I did but, watching her, I was kind of like, I want to do that too, like because she, had accomplished a lot. And, at the time also, like, I think I really didn't start thinking about it until my sophomore year of high school because, she was getting looks from college. And me, I was like, college, like, I didn't think about that. Like, I never thought past where I was in that moment. And so then it really I started to shift my perspective even more and kind of like shift my focus. And so she played a big role in that, I would say.
So let me ask you this, being from Chicago, what from Chicago helped you to give you the ability to even be successful, to have the motivation, to have the swag, to have the what did you get from Chicago being to make you be the athlete that you are today? What played a part in?
My drive,
Yeah.
my drive, because, unfortunately, I didn't really have a lot of access to a lot of resources. And my parents were definitely helping me like with a lot. Like, at the, high school I went to Gwendolyn Brooks and it's a college prep school. And, we didn't have all like the resources that, a lot of high schools have now, like, the Normatec boots and, going to the trainers and getting all this treatment and stuff. I never had any of that. I just had me and my foam roller. So,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of things that were just kind of in the way all the time. Weather, um, there was a lot of coaching changes. I do remember that. And so there was never really one stable coach that I had.
Yeah.
So I didn't really feel like I could rely on that. So I would rely a lot on my dad. So I feel like just there were a lot of like different obstacles kind of in the way. And I think it just like, and it was, not putting blame on anybody, but just the circumstances. And
Yeah.
so that kind of just made me develop more of my drive because I'm like, well, I forget this. I'm still gonna get here. I'm still gonna get here because I want this,
Yeah.
despite any challenges I have.
Yeah, and then you built a relationship with your dad, being he coached you, and so that relationship, that bond grew, and then it actually made you and him have a better relationship, but it also prepared you and helped you in other areas. Even with your training, you said you didn't really start lifting weights, or you really wasn't working out until you went to college.
Yeah.
So
I didn't like
how was
anyways.
that? Did it make you stronger and faster? How was the transition with working out? Because you probably was just ultimately fast. Now you incorporating the weight room. Now you're incorporating, your dad being there for you. Like, how did that help boost you? And on top of that, the COVID year. Like, so how was that transitioning into even starting? Because COVID played a lot of different factors in a lot of different things, but not having graduations, not having events, the different things. So take us a little bit through that, because that's really speaking on the drive that you were speaking on, but those are the different things that was happening in the beginning.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't start lifting weights until I got to college. So that was a big adjustment for me because, we would do certain exercises and like, the coach is like, I want you to do a hang clean. I didn't know what hang clean was. I'm like, a what? And he's like, you don't know what a hang clean is? I'm like, no, because I never do it. I never did that because that wasn't something I was exposed to because my dad always was very big on natural body, conditioning. So that was stuff that I would do on my own. And so that kind of changed the game for me a little bit because now, and I started incorporating that a lot into my junior year. I feel like my sophomore year, I was still a little bit adjusting to it, but my junior year, I really was starting to incorporate the natural body conditioning and the strength conditioning and put it all in one. And that transition from my sophomore year to my junior year of college was like the strongest I had ever been. So that was definitely something that was beneficial for me to learn how to lift weights and just kind of, pay attention to what target areas like that exercise are hitting in my body. And
Yeah.
then um even like, to touch on the COVID aspect, that was just that was more of a mental thing for me. Whereas, you know, we couldn't really go compete or do stuff like that. It didn't really affect me physically. Um, I mean, it was challenging to get to places and like, work out. Like there would be tracks that were closed because, we couldn't go anywhere. So that was a little bit challenging, but it wasn't an issue for me because I don't really like to let obstacles get in the way of things that I want. So that was more of a mental thing because mental and emotional, I would say, just because of the simple fact, schools had less money because, they were giving it to the seniors that were already there. And so they're like, oh, well, we got to give some here and then like take some here. So they kind of had to make adjustments with that. So schools losing money and like me not getting, the money that I was originally promised was a little bit discouraging. But on top of that, um, even just with like the simple things, like just not getting to experience just being a senior, missing out on my prom, my graduation, I was mad. I'm not gonna lie, I had my two prom dresses. Oh, I was ready. I was going to two different proms. And I
Yeah.
was so excited. And so
Yeah.
like just all these little things were very discouraging. And I still look back at it, and I see a lot of the seniors, posting their pictures and like um it still kind of hits me because it's like that's still something I never got to experience and I will never experience that. So, but it's just kind of how you get through that, how you manage your emotions with that. And that's what I learned from that.
Yeah, and then even being in Iowa wasn't even your choice, and being that, God made a way, and now you're there, you're all American. Like when you start to see these type of things happen, even though you had some kind of, things that you had to get past the COVID, but you come there, now you getting in tune with the university, you really doing it, y'all. What was it, 4x14?
Yeah.
Yeah, 4x4. Now you're all American. So even as you start to get that, now you starting to see the success. Now you starting to see the hard work paid off. What was your mindset at that point?
So when I became an All-American for the first time, I don't know what it was, but I can tell you about that whole day. I was pissed because I I was happy, like, because I made it there. I was definitely blessed for that opportunity. And, not everybody gets that opportunity. But because I'm competitive, when I finished the race, I almost like wasn't satisfied then, and I kind of wish that I gave myself a little bit more grace because that was my first time being there. I was 19 when I went. So that was like a eye opener for me, but it also made me mad because I'm like, I want more. I
Yeah,
want more. Like I've seen like a little bit of what I can do. Like I don't even think I've ever had my best race yet. So I just like kind of get glimpses of like when I race and I'm like, man, like that actually felt kind of easy. Like I have more in the tank. Like I can do more.
yeah,
And so like it kind of made me demand more of myself too. And like I could be up there. Like and you know, I would say I was definitely underrated. You know, a lot of people think like, you know, oh, like Big Ten, you know, they're not as good as SEC or they're not as good as, you know, the Pac-12. And, you know, the way I see it, like I don't care what conference I'm in because, you know, you're gonna do your job no matter where you go. There's people, it's about the talent and the work ethic.
yeah.
And I would say it's also about, you know, coaching too, like, you know, making sure that the coach that you're with is the right person. So like all of that like plays a factor in that.
Yeah, I think the Big Ten is on the come up though, because
Oh, it sure is.
y'all got some athletes. The Big Ten 100 champion back to back. Even young and up and coming Aaliyah Johnson from Texas that's going out. Indiana. You guys at Iowa. You like with you being All American. Just following and seeing the different things. Like I said, I share your page and share your races and even share you and the young track. They looking at. They said she's an All American. I want to do something like that. I want to be and see. That was the purpose of me having these spotlight interviews for allowing you guys' journey to get seen because it's people that looks up to you guys and people that want to be where you at or going through the same situation that you guys go through as saying, I want more, I know I can do it, or even the people that deal with running, then a nagging injury, then coming back, then okay, now I got to get mentally tough because I done got injured. I keep having, nags and different things that, might mess with my mental. What keeps you focused and how do you balance it? Because you are a student athlete, you great in the classroom as well. How do you balance that with a tough track schedule, with practices, with still being a young adult, like having life, How do you balance that?
I think a lot of the time, at least this, I would say this is an opinion. I would say, I mean, there might be people that disagree out there, but I think a lot of the time, most distractions that come about are from people in your life. And I think that was something that was a big adjustment that I had to make to kind of center my focus on me. I think that there were a lot of factors when I came into college that were very distracting. I mean, I and don't get me wrong, like there's other people that can do this, but I just couldn't do it. You know, I came in, I was in a relationship and I was like all about him and I was all about meeting friends and those are great and you can do that. But, there also comes a time where like you have to also reevaluate the people that are in your circle and think like, is this person serving me in a positive way? Are they feeding light into my life? Because if someone is, feeding toxicity, negativity into your life, that's gonna shift your focus off of what your priorities are and what your goals are and what you want. And so I think that the people in your life are what make it better. And I think for me, like I have my parents. I talk to my dad a lot. Me and my dad are very, very close. And like I talk to him about pretty much everything. I ask him for advice. I like share funny stories that happen, but I talk to him about a lot of things. And even throughout my years of college, like I've even gone to see a sports psychologist because I was dealing with race anxiety. I mean, that is a huge thing. Like people get anxious because they're thinking about everything. They're like, well, I got to get this right. I have to, perfect this part of my race, or what if I fall? What if I get embarrassed and people are looking at me crazy? Like that's a real thing. And so you have to kind of learn how to channel that and turn that off and maybe channel that nervousness into excitement because it's like instead of being like I'm scared to do this, be like I'm excited to do this because I'm here and I'm ready and I've done the work that will put me in a good position. So I really think that those are like the key things that kind of help you be focused.
Yeah. What would you say to the youth who are dealing with that at a younger age, but just because you going through it and you have been through it, what would you say to them to allow them to keep their focus on track so they don't allow it to take them away, because they're going to eventually get through it. And, if they trust in God and believe, he going to be there for them. Like some people might don't know and just say, this is too much and give it up. And they might be giving up something special, a dream, a scholarship or something like that. What would you say to that?
I would say I would say 2 things. I would say any obstacle, any challenge that, you might face, never let that discourage you from what you want. Because if this is something that you want, go after it. I'm a firm believer in it. If I want something, I'm gonna go and get it because that should always be how you live your life. Anything you want, you go and get it. And if
Yeah.
you fail, failure is okay because failure is a part of life, but you're gonna come out on the other end more knowledgeable, more wise, more like stronger. You will just know better and you can like failure is a part of life, but it's gonna happen, but you have to know how to deal with that as well. So never let anything discourage, your goals and your dreams. And I would say another thing is, you know, just I think at a younger age, when people start to focus, and I'll say that I'll even share my personal experiences. When I started track in a younger age, I wouldn't really go to a lot of things. I was actually invited to a prom my junior year. I didn't get to go because I got invited to, a track meet in New Mexico, and I gave that up. And I went to New Mexico, and it was an experience that I never had, but I loved it because I've never regretted going. But the people around you that may not have the same goals as you or don't want to take it as serious, they're not going to understand. And that's okay because everyone is in a different part of their lives. Everyone is in a different chapter. So I think, at a younger age, the circle of influence that you have is going to be really important. But also, too, if people don't understand, give them a little bit of grace because not everyone is in the same, area as you are.
Yeah. And what year are you in, or what year are you going to be next year?
So I'm a senior. I actually just got my bachelor's degree, so I'm going to be going for my master's, but I have some more eligibility left, so I'm definitely going to use that.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So what are your goals for yourself and goals team wise with track?
Um, I think my biggest goals, I want to better myself because if I'm bettering myself, then automatically I'm going to be helping the team.
Yeah,
But for me, like I want to be. I'm not even want. I'm going to be at nationals, and
yeah,
I want to make sure that I get my individual trophy because it was, and I loved like being there with my team, but it feels good when you put in the work and you accomplish something, and then you can say that this is mine. I
yeah,
did that, and there's no one that can take credit for that, and
right.
that's a beautiful feeling to have. So I want that for myself, and I'm gonna make sure that I do that. I mean, I've set my marks for my times because I want to go 50 point. I'm setting it high for myself because I believe I can do it,
You're
and
only a
so
couple seconds away, ain't you?
right. So I think I can do it. And I think even when I ran what I ran, I mean, like that was just me coming off an injury. So
Yeah.
I know that there's more in the tank for that. So I'm excited for the next chapter. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, because we know you're gonna get that. You was gonna say, it, or I was gonna say it by the end. You getting the Nationals, Big Ten championship, All American, academic All American, and all of that. Do you major in psychology?
Yes.
Okay, so does that help you with your approach on how you take account of things, how you focus, how you even incorporate what you're gonna do in accessing problems?
Oh, absolutely.
Because
The
with you
more
just breaking down the stories, I'm like, I'm wondering like, did you already had that? Did I lead you to psychology, or is you learning that in your major? Because just sitting talking to you, you broke down the different things and what you learned from it, what it helped you with, like you dissected that. You always had that ability.
Yeah, I actually did. I feel like my dad kind of instilled a lot of that in me, and then just from personal experiences, I was able to kind of use the knowledge that I gained from him and personal experiences to kind of make sense of just everything. And I also think I live by the saying the more you learn about yourself and understand about yourself, the better it is for you to understand people and to be more emotionally equipped to handle situations. And
Yeah.
so I've done a lot of self-work throughout, I would say, the past 3 years. I would say I didn't really do it a lot my freshman year, but also I came into college younger. I was 17 when I came in. So I was not as, emotionally intelligent. But over these past 3 years, I've done a lot of self-work, and that has really, really helped. And not even just doing that, but actively, going to see a sports psychologist, just talking to somebody, making sure that I'm doing the self-care for myself, and even, just in psychology classes and like thinking about things from a different perspective. I'm like, like I never thought of it that way. And it's kind of opening my mind to different things. So psychology has definitely helped. It's been a huge part of just who I am now and how I've handled just the whole track world. So
Do you get those teammates that come to you with problems, issues, and want to talk?
you know, like, and it's funny because I get that more now. But, like, at first I wasn't, but I think it's because, when people meet me, I come off very, like, very social. I can be very, like, goofy, so people don't they're like, "Oh, she's not serious. She's not gonna give me any advice." But, like, when people actually sit down and they, like, talk to me and they kind of get a gauge and kind of peer in my mind as to how I really think, then they're like, "Oh, like, she actually kinda knows what she's talking about." But, now I feel like I get that more often, but also too, I always just make it a habit to any person that I'm dealing with. I just make it known, like, I want people to be comfortable with me. So, like, they can talk to me. I don't want people to be shy around me or like think like that. No one can ever come to me. I've always told my friends, like, you can always come to me if there's anything wrong, because I'm gonna be here to listen, shoulder to cry on, something like that. So I just
Yeah.
make it that my like aura basically.
What kind of leader are you? Do you lead with your play, or do you lead by example, or do you lead vocally?
I think I think I'm more of a leader by example. I think I'm more of that. I don't necessarily like to lead, but I feel like it's almost like that was what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of feel like I have to fill that role of a leader. And I mean, like, I'm okay with it now. At first, I was like, "Ugh, I'm never leading. I'm not doing this." But it's a lot, people put a lot of pressure on someone who's a leader in certain things, or someone who takes control over, situations. So but I think I'm definitely more of a leader by example. Because I mean, I know, like, when I would go to practice, like, I wouldn't really, like, talk about, like, "Oh, we need to do this. We're going to do, like, we have to do this and this and this." I'm not more of a, "I'm gonna tell you what to do," but I would, show up to practice. I'd show up on time. Sometimes I'd have my headphones in, and depending on, if we have a hard practice or not, but, like, I would be pretty focused. I would take the workout serious all the time. And, I definitely feel like, when the freshmen came in this year, they kind of fed off of me and my energy. And I
Mhm.
definitely feel like my energy was like, how do I put this? I would say my energy would make or break how practice would go. And that was kind of interesting too, that I didn't notice that until later on in the year. I'm like, I did not know that. Yeah.
You talked about making sure yourself is together and making sure you get you under control. What does identity and self-love look like for you? And speak to the youth on identity and self-love as well.
Identity, you know, I'll say this. I'm 21 and I'm still figuring out myself. Um, but it's because every day we're changing. We are
Yeah.
changing all the time. We are literally ever evolving people, and we're changing all the time. We're learning new things about ourselves, things that we may not like, things that we may love, things that like we may have like pet peeves we don't even know about, or things that we are shameful about. And so um learning about that is you're finding out who you are outside of your sport. And I think there's a lot of athletes that kind of get caught up in my identity is my sport. This is me. Like I am a track runner. But what are you outside of your sport? Because, when I'm 60, I'm not gonna have, track anymore. So it's like what else can I do? Like there's always gonna be something else about you that makes you who you are. So I think that learning about yourself is very, very important. And then, just treating yourself with self-love. I mean, there's no love without the self because you can't love others without loving yourself. And so I think self-love, like, just making sure that you set the standards high for yourself. And by doing that, you treat yourself how you would want others to treat you. You treat yourself like the king or the queen that you are. And like simple things. I went to get myself flowers because I deserve flowers. It's like it's just doing the little things that make yourself feel good, that make yourself feel worthy, that treating yourself like that. And that is going to carry over into your sport. Also, it carries over into every aspect of life, whatever you do. So I think those are very important.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a lot of people need to do that because if they don't, they gonna be feeling some type of way. Now you able to make yourself happy. So you're not looking at another person make you happy. Because sometimes if another person ain't make you happy or you don't get what you think you should get from that person, whether it be a response, a conversation, now you down. Um, how do you handle not comparing yourself with other athletes? Other D1 athletes or just other women in general, being that everybody's on social media they're posting, and comparison is a thief of joy. So sometimes you could get caught up into comparing, or like for track, is my numbers right here, dang, this person PR'd, I gotta get. How do you handle not worrying about that but making the main thing the main thing?
I think that for me, I do tend to, and it's so easy to do that. It's so easy to get caught up in, what other people are doing on social media because social media is a big platform now. We're following people. We're like, oh, she has this. I want that. Like, and so it is definitely a huge thief of joy. So what I tend to do, I like to try to remind myself that, you are where you're meant to be right now. And
Mhm.
like, some people, when they whether you're religious or not, like God or the universe or whatever, like they are telling you, like, you are where you're meant to be right now. Like everything is going to happen when it's supposed to happen. And so for, some person that I'll take, it's an athlete that's well known. I'll even take Masai Russell. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know her. She has all these, endorsements and, she's posting like the great thing that's going on in her life. Like she's blessed. And then there's other people that are looking at her and they're like, well, why don't I have that? Your time is going to come when it comes. And,
Yeah.
like I know like, she's probably prayed about, the things that she wants and like things are going to happen when it needs to happen. So it's just really a matter of like that belief instead of just like thinking about what other people are doing and just being caught up in that.
Mhm. Come here real quick. I want you to give him some advice. 404 by 4. This is Tesa Roberts. She's an All-American at Iowa University.
Hi.
Good to see you. It's live too. Anything you want to tell him that can help him?
Uh, yeah, so I would say, well, like about the race or just like in general?
Everything.
Oh, everything.
He
Um,
runs good. It's just consistency, I would say, on being strong finish and being staying low until he gets up. But it's
yeah.
time going down and down and down. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I would say, well, first of all, the 400 is like 90% mental. So, I mean, you literally have to keep fighting every time. But I know like for me, sometimes like I used to get caught up in like feeling like I was behind around, 300 meters because I'm like, oh, well, like, because I'm a different runner. I'm not really like a endurance runner, but I'm not a speed runner either. I'm more of a power runner. So like, I could just run off of power. And so, like, for my main thing, I had to literally just like lock in. Like, sometimes, like, my eyes would wander. And for me, like, what helped me every time, the last 100 meters when I get around, I don't look at anything. I go blank and I'm looking right at the finish line and I don't look at anything else. And I just pump my arms until I can't pump anymore. That was what like helped me just get through the race. And then like just as far as other aspects around, just it's easier said than done, but just making sure that you stay focused, you stay, keep your head up always, like, make sure you're filling your life, your mind with positive things. Then it goes from the little things like type of music you're listening to, if you're reading a certain book, watching a certain movie, just, making sure that you're constantly filling your mental with positive things, because that is going to feed into how you perform, how you practice. And, that that ultimately leads from, having great practices to having great competition. And so just making sure that you're taking care of your mental, not just the physical. I mean, you can roll out, you can stretch, you can do all of that, but if you're not, fueling your body with, the right foods, and fueling your mind with the right things, that's gonna definitely put a huge detriment into your success. So just making sure that you take care of that.
You want to ask a question? You get one. You good?
I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah, so and that be the things that to be consistent, because sometimes when they hear it from other people, they take it to a different way. But just being able to allow the athletes to know that you can do it, but all that stuff plays a part, because like you said, racing with track is mental. It's mental,
Yes.
it's anticipation. So you got to make sure you're doing, all the things that you're supposed to do. Last couple questions. Can you speak on boundaries, and how has boundaries helped you, or how can boundaries help with an athlete, student athlete, or even, being a young adult?
I think that boundaries is extremely important when it comes to just the people that you're dealing with. And that goes for coaches, teammates, friends, parents, all people. Um, I don't particularly like. I would say this. When it comes to coaching, I like to make sure that I have, a good cohesive relationship with the coaches that I'm working with, but I also don't make it a habit to, um, you know, I keep the closeness to a certain extent, because I could look unprofessional, or just things like that. And I think, like, also setting boundaries when it comes to teammates, friends. You're gonna come across people that will support you both in front of closed doors and behind closed doors. But then you're also gonna come across people that they are supporting you. They're your number one fan when you're winning, but when you're down, then they back away and they're like, "Oh, we don't know her." So you're gonna come across many different people, um, and so I would say, just making sure that you can have close friends, but just being aware of the type of people that you're around, and just making sure that if there's also some things that, like, maybe your friends are doing that you don't want to do, you set boundaries. Like, when you get to college, people are going to party, they're going to be partaking in, you know, doing whatever, drinking whatever, the college kids do. But, if you don't want to do that, you got to set boundaries. I can't do this tonight. I got to go sleep because I gotta work out tomorrow. Stuff like that. Just setting boundaries. Even if, some people may have, some challenges with their parents, if they feel like their parents are, like, discouraging them from, their dreams, their goals, what they want. And, you got to set that boundary too. Like, look, mom, dad, like, I love you, but this is what I want to do. I need your support on this. Like, and if they're not supporting you, then you set that boundary from there. So, like, boundaries are very important when it comes to just transitioning into any, like, career, really.
Yeah. After track, what is it that you like to do to make sure you grounded, charged up, and I know you bought yourself flowers, but is there other stuff you do to have fun, enjoy life, and not just be so practiced and serious?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've done a pretty decent job at, like, just kind of finding my hobbies that I like to do in the past year. Like, I'll go out and, like, I just bought some, like, canvases too. Like, I'll just paint whatever. Like, but I kind of call it, like, my expression painting. Just painting what I feel. If I'm feeling happy, I'll put, like, some flowers. Like, if I'm feeling sad, like, I'll probably paint the whole thing blue. Like, just something, and just doing something to kind of, like, express your emotions, or, like, I'll dress up one day. I might do my makeup. And I'm like, oh, like, I want to do that, like, just to make myself feel good. Like, if the sun is shining, I'm like, oh, I'll raise the windows, I'll do whatever. And, like, I also, well, I just started releasing that to the world, but I do like to sing. So I love that. And then like just making sure that I keep in touch with like, close friends, loved ones, all of that, to making sure that, you know, everyone is good in my life. I like to do that too. I'm a big person when I'll check up on you. So just
Okay.
stuff like that. It kind of keeps me grounded, keeps me sane because I feel like if I'm just practice, 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 I'm gonna lose my mind. So
What's your favorite foods? Like, I know you got to be strict diet during your eating. So, is it a favorite move you get yourself? Favorite food you get yourself after a race, or even out of track season? What's your favorite foods?
so like usually my go-to when after I'm done with the attic track meet, I will literally go get a pizza.
Okay.
But
So, what is
I
it about the Chicago pizza? Because I didn't heard about the Chicago pizzas and the
oh the
Hero.
deep dish?
Yeah.
Oh, deep dish is it's max every time. I love deep dish. I was actually just home this weekend and I literally was like, I'm gonna go to Giordano's, get myself a deep dish pizza because why not? It's literally been too long. So love that. But I like Harold's, but I feel like it's a little overrated. Like I go to what's it called? It used to be called I-57 because they have like three different like locations, but I like going there. I feel like that's like better. Don't knock
Yeah.
it till you try it though. I don't know.
I'll be listening to the Brat talk about restaurants and food and stuff, and on Ricky
Mhm.
Smiley the morning show, being she's from Chicago. Then I actually had a coworker as a chef, and he was arguing with some New York people about who got the best
You're
pizza.
right. That's a whole debate. Like that's been going on for
Yeah,
too long. I'm like, oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. So what can you say, whatever comes on your heart, positive encouragement, for the youth and for people that might see this?
Um, Literally just never give up on your goals and your dreams. Never give up. Don't quit because life is literally hard. You're gonna have outside factors trying to, bring you down. You're gonna have, whether it's falling out of friendships, relationships, grieving, anything that could go wrong. Like life is going to be hard, but just never let that, you know, deter you from where you're going, the road that you're going on. And I would also say, um, I think this is a big one that I'm going to touch on as well. Any athlete that wants to come into college and run track, um, just feel out, enjoy your college moments because it does fly. And if you go to a certain college and that school is not for you, it's okay to, leave that environment because change is scary. But you have to be comfortable with getting uncomfortable. So change is going to be scary, but if that's, something that is going on in your life and you want to make that move and make a change in schools and in majors, whatever, do it. Because, if that wasn't in your heart, that wouldn't be something that maybe like God is telling you to do or the universe is telling you to do. So that's something I would say take that
And
and
be
always
careful
carry it with you.
for relationships, right?
I mean, yeah, just I love love. Okay, I do because I just I don't wish for anyone for people to prioritize their
Yeah.
relationships over themselves because you don't want to give your all to someone or something and then god forbid something happens and then you're left with nothing. So you always want to make sure that you take care of yourself and you keep yourself grounded and you can still have a relationship, but just doing the self work, making sure that you're doing that before you decide to get in a relationship. But I mean that's going to happen too because that's a part of life as well.
Yeah, but at least like you said, you learned from it and you seen it, so you knew how to balance it. You knew how to, look at it a different way. Because if you didn't, then you would go through the same stuff that you went through, before. So that's always good to do.
Yeah, and recognizing patterns too. Like if you're noticing constantly like, oh, why does this keep happening to me? Like when I realized like there were certain things that kept happening to me. And so what I like to do is if I'm noticing a pattern, I take a step back and I look at what the cause is. What is the root of the problem? Because if you can find the root of the problem, then it's a lot easier for you to, kind of solve your problems. So then you make sure that these things don't happen again.
Yeah. Well, we just thank you for giving us this opportunity. You're all American, you're great, you're walking in your greatness. I just pray that God continue to strengthen you, that He blesses you, He give you favor in every arena that you step foot in school, on the track, whether it's endorsements, whether it's business opportunity, that He be able to bless you, that He download, give you all the information you need to be great. And even He open your eyes to show you what He's trying to tell you and even speak to you on them days that you hear, that He gives you strength on those days where you feel like you ain't enough or you feeling down, that He blesses you and that you know that you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. You're more than a conqueror and you're going to be great. Like I can see you like being over a sports program, have your own sports psychology, like the greatness inside you, and you can see it, like being real. Like I can just see it because you ain't just get here just by everything being handed to you. You had to grind, kind of like what you said from Chicago. So that Chicago inside of you, it's pushing you and making you to be the woman that you're going to become. So be bold, be courageous when you go on that track, when you go in front of different people, class assignments for work and all that. Just, be great because you got it and greatness is inside of you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me too. I really appreciate that.